20-somewhat odd girls who are playing in the T-ball program. That plays at Mays because it's a mixed co-ed. I have 24 girls playing minors, so this is a young program, with a bright future here, and that's why, we endeavor to continue to work with the village. And I think the misconception that we had was we didn't want to work, or that we were out of favoring with the village, and the mayor cleared that up, that it had nothing to do with that, and we realized that it was a communication issue between both of us, because we got sidetracked with the skating rink, where it was never our intention that we didn't want it there. It was just that we were concerned about the condition of the field, as I mentioned before, because the field had always been meticulous. So that's where I want to make that clear to the board here, is that Little League has always worked with the village prior to your administration. Whatever political windfall that has happened in prior administrations, Little League was a subcomponent that worked. We had no dealings or no loyalty. It's just that we were able to work with the board as today you see with the permits. It wasn't anything special. It wasn't we were trying to do anything, trying to take more from the village that was offered. As the mayor and I had spoke on Friday with the trustee, is that it was made very clear to us that the village is the landlord and we're the tenants. And that's, we never looked at that as that black and white. We looked at it as we were honored enough to be able to give them permission to play on the field, so therefore we would do little things. If something had happened in the building, we would ask permission, we would get a certified electrician to come in, and we would pay for it. When the field was first done, we helped put the fences up. We bought the scoreboard. The mayor had said, and that, that basically, that fell on us, and that was our fault for doing that. We should have never done that. But again, we never looked at it as that it's black and white. You should do this, we should do that. We always felt that we should work together and to make it a beautiful park, which we did for many years, which is continuing. So any misconception of that, we never submitted a bill to the village and said, listen, I spent $300 in fixing the fence. And the mayor made it clear, he's like, well, then you should have. You shouldn't have paid for it. But again, the working relationship, it was never nickel dime or, pay for the electric because we do other things. So although I understand the budget and I understand that money, you can no longer provide a worker to help drag and line our fields. The money with the concession stand, I don't want us to be black and white. If this is something you want to do, then absolutely it's the village's right to do it. But we also provide a service to the village as well. We may not serve just village residents, but we're a good thing. We're a good, positive thing for the village.
I don't think anybody disagrees with that.
But I want that, you need to hear it from me. Not that you don't think that we are. It's just that I need to say it. So, like again, with the electric and the budget, and because you feel that we should, then that's you're right. But I'm saying, I guess I'm trying to say why this hasn't been an issue in the past. Because it's been a cohesive relationship where we don't charge $200 to fix a fence, and you don't charge us $169 to use concession. So I don't know if that can no longer be, because of the issues that are way bigger than me, and as I said to the mayor and the trustee, that's beyond my pay grade. I'm here to serve the 80-something girls that I have registered in softball. I try to provide them the best program possible and the best environment, and we have agreed that we're on the same page with the environment. So I don't want to be an entity that we're now clocking down dollars and cents. If that has to be, then it has to be. It just never has been. That's what I have to say.
As much as we want people to come in for the events that we have, we want them to come in for the sections and states, things like that. So you have our promise that that park will be spotless. Okay.
Thank you.
They just have to come back to the grass cutting. Now, when we're talking about the infield and everything, we're still gonna do the once a week like we do all the parks.
Yes.
Okay.
Or as needed. Yeah, trim it.
Yeah, but I'm saying like we do all the parks.
Yes.
It's it's not gonna be special because it's a baseball field, it's gonna be like every other day or anything like
No,
that.
no.
Just wanna make that clear.
No, I think that's what happened last
You could
year.
have no grass if you cut it every other day.
But you know what I'm saying, we're
Yeah.
gonna cut it like we cut every other park.
I think last year there was a day, Saturday, they went up to cut it, and they actually got stuck, didn't they get
Yeah,
stuck?
because
Yeah.
of,
You know, trim it, you know, I think we need to put down the first thing of clay, the first, you know. When does that start up there? I know the parade is.
we have the parade on the
Do
13th.
you start that weekend?
No, we will kick off the week of the 22nd. That's our opening week.
No practice before that?
We will, but the problem that we have is that it's Easter week, so we'll have practice scheduled for who's here.
All right, you mentioned that it picks up again, September.
Correct.
That's travel ball.
No, it's still Little League.
It's still little.
Correct.
So when does travel ball get involved?
We don't have travel ball.
Okay.
We have nothing to do with travel ball.
Well, and they never played it before, travel ball?
Not under, no. We don't sponsor a travel team, we don't have, I think there was some prior, either understanding or something with the travel team that had Washingtonville, it was a Washingtonville travel team for girls. But as far as I'm concerned.
So it's not
President-
sanctioned by Little League, it's something totally different than,
Correct. If
If
you're,
they shouldn't be using our fields then, the travel, not travel, yeah, the pay, not you guys, this other division where we travel.
if there is one, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't, I'm not aware of
You think
it.
it's not around anymore?
I don't know, I'm not aware, like, again, I have nothing to do with that. I focus on the 80 girls that I have playing softball. If you might be referring to the fact of in the fall, unlike the regular season, because it happens, is that, as David mentioned to you before, is that some of our divisions, we pod. So podding means basically, in my minors division, I have 2 teams. Cornwall has 2 teams, Goshen has 2 teams. So what we'll do is we'll join and have 6 teams in a pod. Therefore, Washingtonville will go to Goshen, and they'll go to Cornwall. Cornwall will come to Washingtonville, and we'll play here. Come districts is, as Washingtonville's playing in Cornwall, you may have a Goshen and Chester team playing at Woodfield. That where I think is the misunderstanding of what travel ball is. That's not travel ball, that's Little League. Come fall is the same situation, is that we have pods, and we play elsewhere, and other teams will come in and we'll play a Goshen. Come playoffs, again, you may have a Goshen Cornwall playing at Woodfield, but it's a Little League-ish competition, it's not travel. So I know that there might be, that might be the misconception.
yeah, I think that,
Of what
that
travel
was. Okay, so when that happens,
Mhm.
and they're falling under Little League's insurance? Let's
Correct.
say Chester's playing Goshen.
Correct. Woodfield is covered under our insurance that I submit every year.
Okay.
And the address for Woodfield is considered, you have a copy of the insurance, and Woodfield is covered under that through us.
Okay. So you
Even if
have,
you're not there.
Correct. I have to, again, by Bristol's conditions, each field that my girls play on or practice on has to be covered underneath their insurance, and we have a rider, and I was explaining that we pay for that as part of when we charter the league. So I have to pay for every kid that gets registered, I have to have insurance for every kid, and then insurance for the team, and then the insurance for the fields. So that's covered in that charter. Woodfield, it would be the school fields, because we practice on them at times.
okay, so in, definitely a misunderstanding as far as travel ball is concerned. So what we would need when that time comes, forget the districts because I know that that's how that works, that we would need a schedule of the teams coming in to play that fall ball that you're talking about, that's sanctioned by Little League, which means any of the teams coming in, if they're not on that list, they don't belong on that field. Okay, so we could,
For the regular season.
for the fall, because regular season, it's.
It's the same situation in the regular season as
Yeah.
well, like,
It is.
again, we have one major girls team, so we will have whoever's in that pod. a New Windsor or a Cornwall will come in and play. They will not play regular season any outside Little Leagues. So come playoffs, it may be a situation in June when districts start that you'll have Goshen Little League major girls team playing Cornwall's Little League major girls team at Woodfield.
Because you can't play at Woodfield.
Correct,
Unless
unless we're hosting the championship
Yeah.
game.
Okay. So I think it would all be solved if you give us the schedule.
So we know, for instance, if one day Poughkeepsie is there and
Yeah,
it's a
they're
regular
playing
schedule,
all
it's
of
gonna
it.
be on the field.
And they're not really have anything to do with you.
So it would be the same thing you're asking as in the regular season. For the fall, you would ask for a preliminary schedule of
Yeah.
games, right? And again, you know, due to weather and stuff, things may change.
It's
Like,
gonna
for
be
instance,
fluid, yeah.
for instance, we don't have a game scheduled on a Friday at Woodfield and Cornwall gets rained out and they're hosting Port Jervis and Montgomery, it may be moved to Woodfield. And at that point, I can also advise you of,
Yeah.
you have an incoming game that wasn't initially on the schedule. Is that okay?
Yes. And this way, the chief gets that also, so we know that something's going on up there to stimulate to the field, yeah.
So then we'll revise the dates, we'll resubmit
Yeah.
the dates, two separate ones.
So I'll set one for, let's just say April 1 through mid-July, okay? And I'll
Yeah.
revise the times, 3 o'clock to
I don't think
dusk.
you'll be on the field before April, my guess.
No, but like trustee
Yeah.
Corr
April
said, you know,
1st,
if we get on, if we're able to get on the field, I'd like to have a point unless there's something conflicting with you guys. In case on Easter week, we can practice on that field.
Okay, so, I mean, what week is that?
That's Easter week.
Yeah.
Well, we open, the
Schools
parade,
closed the week prior to Easter.
Yeah.
15 through 19 is the Easter week. So if I could get, our drafts are being held though, and we have in the past practiced prior to opening day parade. So again, if I could request that April 1. And then,
Well, if weather permits us to, I'm sure it's not going to be, well, March is the crazy month. But as soon as we're able to get up there to do what we need to do.
Well, the main thing that'll hold them up is the clay. The other stuff we can do.
Yeah, but they could practice on the field that
on
they
the grass,
have.
and we've done that too
Yeah.
for little ones. And again, you know, I would
Yeah.
speak to the mayor or whoever's in charge up there, and, you know, by all means, we would ask first if we can go up. You know, even though we have the permit, we're not just gonna show up, because, you know, we'll go up there, as we always do, is observe the field, is it playable, is it not playable? Because we don't put girls on the field if it's not, if it's a safety issue.
Yeah,
or
I'm just saying,
we would
like,
never
if
do
we're
it.
gonna end up doing something with the gravel, that doesn't matter if they're practicing or
Right.
not, they can be
Right.
on the field.
Now, do you have practices off that field at any time, like in the surrounding area?
In the past, as with
Like
all the,
parking lot? I know I used
We
to
don't.
practice in.
we try
That's
not to.
parking lots.
Yeah.
Right, we try not to. We have, of course, we have the batting cage, so that would be a practice area.
You have the netting for that?
Yeah,
Because
we
there
do.
was no netting.
Yeah, we set it, again, is that okay if we set that up?
Yeah.
We open it?
You know,
Is it? I'm sorry, it's pretty far from the concession stand, do you want to move it closer? I mean, is that,
I don't know. It's up to
then you don't have to run the electric as long. I mean, does it matter to us where it is?
Well, they want to put a shed there too, so we gotta see. what
We
that's
will,
gonna
yeah.
be.
Well, it's gotta be, what, 70, 80 feet away from the.
Right now, it's a
Yeah,
distance,
that's what I'm saying.
and the outlet's on the other
So that's 70,
side.
80 feet they can save of.
I think what we were looking to do was not to be in the way of the traffic in and out of the garage. And I think that's why it's set so far back, and especially the street sweep now.
Makes sense.
We didn't want to be in the way of any activity going on. So again, will be your decision whether or not you want that moved or not, but I think that's why we did it as far as it is.
Yeah, there's also the well back there.
Right, but that's after the well, batting cages. or right next to it.
Well, the sweeper's up there now,
Mhm.
it's gonna be moved, and it's not gonna be up there. Once that becomes a well house, sweepers are not fitting there.
Yeah.
I was told by Chris.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They put the drums,
Yeah, the chlorine.
yeah.
No, talking to John, I thought it was sort of fit.
That's, you can't move that close. Yeah. Questions?
Just one, on this, just it's curiosity. You said nobody uses the field in August,
Correct.
so why would you think the lights were on for $309?
Why would I think?
Yeah, any ideas why the bill was so high that month?
Did you have a
Who would be
bad
using
freezer
it?
or something, or something that wasn't turned off?
I mean, we are very meticulous in terms of what we do when we close down.
I mean, it just jumps out, you know?
No, I mean, I
It's
completely
double.
understand, but I can tell you, we have no active things going on in August. Concession's not open, we're not using